Right, hey guys, Jason here. What we're going to talk about today, we're doing a series, and I don't know how many parts of it will be, but we're going to call it Traditional Bow Hunting Misconceptions. Misconceptions of traditional bow hunting. I've been doing this now for over 30 years, and it's all I've done for 30 years, and I've killed a couple of animals. Things have been pretty good. I got no complaints on any part of it, and I've seen a lot of trends come and go. I've seen a lot of things happen. Today, what we are going to talk about is the misconception of shot distance with a traditional bow. And it's a real thing, getting worse and worse every single year. Even with a compound bow, if you go back 30 years ago, 30-yard shot with a compound bow 30 years ago was a far shot. 30 yards was a long way on an animal. Today, you got antelope hunters and these Western hunters that swear up and down that you can't kill an animal or you'll never be successful if you're not set up to shoot 60, 70, 80 yards with your compound. 100 yards. These guys with antelope hunters, 100, 120 yards. Well, there's no way to get them closer. Their eyesight's too good. Okay, we hear this stuff all the time, yet 30 years ago, people were killing antelope and elk and moose and mule deer and everything like that without a problem with a compound bow and getting inside of 30 yards. They were doing it all the time. Now you're told you can't do it unless you can shoot perfectly out to 60. It's all a misconception. It's all a form of laziness. Don't get me wrong. And I know there's people are going to be very mad in these comments. The comment section is people are going to blow up. Screw them. I don't care. I just don't care. Honestly, I don't care. I'm tired of excuses. And when it comes to a traditional bow, I can't think of any reason why there's any reason whatsoever to take a shot beyond 25 yards. Me personally, my limit is 20. And I'm politically correct society. I'm supposed to tell you, do whatever your max is comfortable at. But it's BS. Realistically, 20 yards, there's a whole lot that can go wrong past 20 yards. I don't believe an animal should be shot at beyond 20 yards, and I will not. And the reason I say 20 is because my yardage estimation is not always that good. So I might call it 20, but it might actually be 22 or 23, but it's never 25. You see what I'm getting at here? So that's the reality of that kind of thing, and that's why I say 20. And honestly, I much prefer them at 10. And I prefer them at 10, 12, 13. I want them there. I don't want them at 20. But every time I make a comment about this, there's these guys that hunt out west and they're like, well, out west, you got to be able to shoot 35 and 40 yards with a traditional bow. You do not. There are plenty of people. You don't think running a YouTube channel and having this and a podcast for the last 13 years, you don't think I have a absolute ton of friends that live out west and hunt all over out there? Do you think those guys with longbows and recurves out there, do you think they agree with that? Do you think they're making these kind of shots at 40 yards with a traditional bow? No. They have the same attitude. They might stretch it out 5 yards. You know, these guys will tell you, elk don't usually jump the string quite as much. For elk and the size of them, I'll go 30, 33 yards, maybe push 35 if it's a perfect scenario. But realistically, that's max nuts on an elk. On a mule deer, there's no possible way and there's no reason to, especially when you're hunting them in the coulees and stuff. You can get in closer to them, become a hunter, use it. You know, articles that used to be out there about how to have stalking socks with you, take your boots off to close the distance. Why? Because they knew how to get in close. They knew how important it was. The people today, forget all that. I ain't taking, these socks cost me $100. These are made by Sikakuyu. I can't take these things off and walk in these. I'll ruin them. There ain't no possible way. I'm just going to shoot farther. It's a different mindset. Okay, and the people are lazy and are different. What do you mean get down and crawl on my belly across there? I ain't doing that. There's pickers down there. What if I get a tick? You know, I can't have that. So the mindset has changed. But that doesn't mean that the equipment has. Compound bows, we see a difference between 30 years ago and today, but look at the advancements in compound bows. Okay, the walls have got much harder, the sights have got much better, the cams are much better, the limb design is much better, everything is much better, the feet per second they're shooting is much better. There's a lot of variables to these compound bows. Now, I'm not saying it's good, and I do not believe that I don't think anybody that shoots a compound bow, even out west, if you're shooting beyond 40 yards, somewhere in there, under those circumstances, you failed. You failed as a bow hunter. Your job is to get close and accept when you're not close enough. Accept the failure. But no, we push the envelope and we keep pushing it so we cannot be a failure, but we're failing because we're trying to not be a failure. I don't like it. I don't like the direction. And then compound guys, you know, you see them sitting on their food plots. Oh, if he takes one more step, he'll be at 50 and he's mine. It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. No offense, you failed. Bow hunting is about getting close. Getting close is not 50 yards with a compound, and it's not 40 yards with a traditional bow. That's not getting bow hunting close. Traditional bow hunting close is 20 yards. Traditional compound shooting, 30, 35 yards. These crossbow guys, you see the Raven thing, you know, rifle-like MOA accuracy at 100 yards. You have no business shooting at something with an arrow at 100 yards is my point here. And again, whether it's cold-hearted, it's mean, it's opinionated, you don't believe it, I'm a boomer, whatever. I don't care what the excuse is. My job as a content creator is to tell you what I feel. And I've killed a whole bunch of animals. And I don't say that in a bragging standpoint. It's just from the sheer fact of the amount of years I've been doing it and how much I hunt. And I travel to so many places to hunt. I have got a lot of animals under my belt. With that comes the fact of knowledge. And knowledge is power. Knowledge is experience. And I see this stuff time and time again. And I have a Patreon channel where I now am over 100 and something shots on animals, on live animals, right over the top of my, where the or a GoPro mounted, where it's right over the top and watches that arrow go right towards that animal and sees what the animal does. 100 of those, over 100 of them. It goes to show you, and they're all on my Patreon, but it shows you the reality of animal movement and the variables. So the whole, we can do this, we're good enough, we can shoot that far, none of it matters how good you are. None of it matters that you can hit a ping pong ball at 80 yards. We're not hunting ping pong balls. We're hunting live animals in movement. And you're not shooting 900,000 feet per second where it's going to make a difference. Your arrow is going to take too long to get there. Plain and simple. We cannot beat the speed of the variables of the animals. We have zero business shooting any farther than necessary. With a traditional bow, 20 yards is my max. And it's not just me. How many people that you are out there hunting that you respect before you go ripping on me and giving me crap that I don't know what I'm talking? Oh, turkey. Saw something black. I thought, well, we might be going hog hunting right now. We're out here to go hog hunting. But how many of you guys, you know, whether you go thinking I'm full of crap, you ever watch Robert Carter's videos? How many times does he say it? I won't shoot beyond 20 yards. I prefer to be 15 and inside. How about James Wood? How many times have you heard him say, I won't shoot 20 yards. I want to be inside of that. I want to be 15 yards if I can. Okay, there's so many great hunters that have got, and promise you this, I promise you that Robert Carter and James Wood, both of those guys have more animals underneath their belt than 99% of everybody out there. Okay, they've been doing this their entire lives. They have more animals and more experience killing animals than most people ever dream of. And yet they have the same attitude. So think about that before you go typing in the comments. And then again, those of you that are like, well, it's different where you are, where it's thick cover, but out here where it's wide open in the West, we don't want to hear it. Okay, talk to James Orr. Talk to a lot of these guys. Talk to these people that are out there that hunt their stuff. Listen to their podcasts. Listen to their videos. There's no reason for it. Learn to get closer. Learn to move in faster. Look at Fred Eichler. Spends his entire life out there hunting out west. You think he's out there taking 40 and 50 yard shots on animals with his recurve? No, it doesn't happen. There's no reason for it. Get in close. That's the reality of it. So don't let anybody sway you on that either. Don't let them tell you that if you're going to do this, you got to be able to shoot that far. You do not. What you have to do is you have to shoot two things. One, inside of the confidence zone for you, whatever your confidence zone is. Now, number two, that confidence zone is cut by an animal variable. What that means is maybe you're confident with your traditional bow out to 40, doesn't matter, because somewhere back there closer to 20 or 25 is where the cutoff is based on the speed of your arrow, the speeds of your bow, and the variables and the movement patterns and how fast an animal can react and naturally just move. So when you take whatever your confidence is, divide it and cut it in half by whatever that variable really is, you're going to come out somewhere in a neighborhood of about 20, 25 yards. And for those of you that are experienced and been doing this for a while, you're going to push that more towards the 15 to 20 yard range. Okay, that's the reality of it. So shooting distance, traditional misconception, there's a reality of it. And again, I don't care what you do on a 3D range. I don't care what you do shooting targets. I don't care what you're doing stump shooting. None of that stuff matters. But when there's a live animal out there on the end of that arrow, or at the end of this line where you're about to shoot, it matters, and it matters big. Questions, comments, put them below. Even if they're the stupid, I'm wrong, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I've never hunted out west, which I have, but we don't know any of that kind of stuff. We have no idea. Even if you put that comment in there, go ahead. If it's nice and polite, I'll leave it. If you start ripping on people or you act like a jackwad, I delete you. It's one of those kind of deals. My channel. You don't like it, start your own channel. Plenty of room out there for it. Make your own channel, and you can get any kind of advice you want out there. But this is a misconception on shooting distances in a traditional world. Every year, as more and more come into it from the compound world, they try to stretch these limits further and further and further. The equipment hasn't changed. Technology in the traditional world hasn't changed. Our shooting styles haven't changed. Nothing is adapted good enough to make it there, and even if it did, the animals still react too fast. Food for thought for you. Let me know what you're thinking. Thanks for watching.